I met him during the first week of high school. He wasn't supposed to mean anything to me, just another quiet boy sitting near the window, always sketching something in his notebook. But somehow, his silence drew me in more than any loud laughter in the room. He smiled at me once, and that was enough to make me curious. He had those calm eyes that seemed to understand everything without words. The kind of boy who noticed when you cut your hair or when your shoelaces were untied. I liked that. I liked him before I even admitted it to myself. It started with late-night messages. We talked about everything: homework, movies, dreams, even fears. He wasn't perfect, but he made me feel seen. I told him about my mom who worked too much, my sister who always got what she wanted, and my fear of being ordinary. He told me about his father who left, about how he wanted to study art, not business, and how he sometimes felt invisible. We grew close fast, too fast. He said he liked my voice. I said I liked his eyes. He drew me once, a sketch of me smiling, with my hair covering half my face. I kept it hidden in my diary. When he asked me to be his girlfriend, I didn't hesitate. It felt like everything I ever wanted was finally real. The first few months were perfect. We walked home together, shared secrets, and laughed at stupid things. He made me playlists. I made him cookies. He said I was his calm in the chaos. But things changed, slowly, subtly. He started hanging out with my best friend. At first, I didn't think much of it. They were in the same art club after all. But then she began avoiding my calls, and he stopped walking me home. My gut told me something was wrong, but I didn't want to believe it. One evening, I went to surprise him. I bought his favorite coffee and walked to the art room after class. The door was half open. I saw him. His hands were on her waist. They weren't talking. The cup fell from my hand and shattered on the floor. They froze. She looked scared. He looked guilty. And I felt empty. I didn't cry, not right away. I just stood there, staring at the boy who once promised to never hurt me. He tried to explain. She tried to apologize. But I walked away before either of them could finish a sentence. That night, I tore the drawing he made of me into pieces. It felt like ripping out a part of my heart. Days turned into weeks. Everyone at school whispered behind my back. I became the girl who got betrayed. Even my sister laughed and said, "I told you he was too good to be true." But pain changes people. It either breaks you, or it builds something darker inside you. So I decided to stop crying and start watching. He and my ex-best friend started dating publicly. They held hands in the hallway, smiled for everyone to see. But I saw the cracks. I saw how she looked over her shoulder whenever I passed. And I saw how he avoided my eyes. I didn't need revenge at first, just peace. But peace never came. Not when people whispered, not when they laughed, not when she posted pictures of them together. So I planned something. Our school was holding an art exhibition. He was supposed to display his new painting, the one he'd been working on for months. I knew where he stored his work. I knew his passcode. He once said, "You're the only one I trust with it." I went there one evening. The room was empty. The painting was beautiful, a portrait of her. I looked at it for a long time. Then I took my old sketch, the one he drew of me, the one I'd torn apart. I taped the pieces together, barely holding. And I placed it next to his new painting. When the exhibition opened, everyone saw them side by side. His perfect portrait of her, glowing with color, and his torn, faded sketch of me. People whispered again. But this time, not about me, About him. Who does that? Someone said. Draws one girl and throws the other away. He looked pale when he saw it. She looked furious. And for the first time, I smiled. He tried to talk to me after that. He said I'd gone too far. I said, now you know how it feels to be replaced. He didn't answer. He just walked away. Months passed. They broke up eventually. Apparently, she cheated on him too. Karma has a funny way of working. He tried to come back. He said he missed me. That he realized too late who really cared. But I wasn't that naive girl anymore. I told him, you taught me that love isn't about promises, it's about choices, and you chose someone else. He cried. I didn't. I thought that would be the end of it. But life has strange ways of circling back. Years later, I saw him again at a cafe near my college. He looked older, quieter, like someone who'd lost something he could never replace. He smiled faintly and said, "You look happy." And I was. Not because I'd found someone else, but because I'd found myself again. Before he left, he said, "I never stopped thinking about you." I said, "That's the difference. You thought about me. I had to live without you." He nodded, said goodbye, and walked away. No music, no drama, just silence. Sometimes I think about how love can turn into a lesson, how betrayal can turn into power. He was my first love, my biggest heartbreak, and my greatest teacher. And though a part of me will always remember the boy by the window with the soft eyes and the gentle voice, I'll also remember the day I chose myself instead of waiting for someone else to choose me. Because in the end, revenge didn't heal me. Forgiving myself did. After that cafe meeting, I thought that chapter of my life was finally closed. But life has a cruel sense of humor. It waits until you finally breathe again, and then it throws the past right back in your face. A few months later, our college hosted an art collaboration project, open to students from different universities. When I saw the participant list, my stomach dropped. His name was on it. I told myself it didn't matter. That I'd changed. That I was no longer the fragile girl who cried over sketches and promises. But the moment I saw him walk into the room, with that same calm expression, my heart betrayed me again. He looked at me like he wasn't sure I was real. Then he smiled, that same soft smile that once made my world stop. I didn't smile back. We were assigned to different groups, but fate, or maybe punishment, kept bringing us together. Every hallway, every meeting, every late evening in the art studio, he was there. He tried talking to me again, small things at first. "Hey, how have you been? Your work looks amazing." But I gave him short answers, cold, safe. One night, the project group decided to stay late to finish a mural. Most people left by midnight, but I stayed, painting alone under the yellow light. When I turned around, he was there, holding coffee. He placed it next to me and said, "You still like caramel latte, right?" I didn't answer, but I didn't push it away either. We worked in silence for a while, the kind of silence that screamed louder than any words. Then he said quietly, "I never stopped regretting what I did." I froze. He continued, "I thought I loved her, but I was just scared of losing control. You made me feel too much, and I ran from it." I wanted to scream, to tell him that his regret meant nothing now. But instead I said, "Regret doesn't rebuild trust." He looked down, nodded slowly. "I know," he whispered, but I still needed to say it. He left after that. And for the first time in years, I cried again, not because I missed him, but because I finally realized how much I'd grown without him. Weeks passed. The project ended successfully. I got praise for my work. He did too. We both acted like strangers who once shared a secret they'd never speak of again. But one evening, he sent me a message. "Can I show you something, just once, no pressure?" I didn't reply. But curiosity won, like it always did with him. He sent an address, a small gallery near downtown. When I walked in, it was empty except for him and a wall covered in paintings. Every piece told a story, not about her but about me. Not perfect or pretty, but real. The girl crying in the rain. The girl tearing a drawing apart. The girl smiling alone under streetlights. It was me. Every version. He said softly, "I never wanted forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally see what I destroyed." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to be angry. Another part wanted to hug him. But I did neither. I just stood there, watching the reflection of my own pain turned into art. Then I said, "You used to draw to escape. Now you draw to remember." He smiled sadly, "Because forgetting you never worked." I left without looking back. College ended. I graduated with honors, moved to another city, started working at a design firm. New people, new life, new rhythm. But sometimes, late at night, I'd still see his name pop up on social media. A new exhibition, a painting sold, a quiet caption, "For the one who taught me love and loss." I never liked or commented, but I saw every post. It didn't hurt anymore. It just felt distant. Like a story that used to belong to me, but doesn't anymore. Until one day, I received an invitation from the same gallery where we first met again. It said, "Final collection, the boy and the girl who never met again." I went. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. The room was filled with soft light and strangers whispering about the beauty of heartbreak. Every painting was familiar yet new. Our story, rewritten in colors not of sadness but of acceptance. And in the center of the room, there was one piece covered with a cloth. The curator said, "This is his final work." They pulled the cloth away. And there it was, a painting of two hands almost touching, but never quite meeting. The background was a sunset fading into night. At the bottom, a small note. "Sometimes love isn't about being together. It's about becoming who you were meant to be, because of them." Tears rolled down my cheeks before I realized it. I left quietly. Outside, the air smelled like rain, just like the day I found him with her years ago. Only this time, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like peace. Months later, I heard he moved abroad to teach art. We never spoke again. No closure, no messages, no goodbyes. Just silence, the kind that no longer hurts. I started seeing someone new. Someone kind, gentle, patient. He didn't have the boy's eyes or his mystery, but he had something better, honesty. One evening, he asked, "Do you still think about your first love?" I smiled softly and said, "Sometimes, but only as a lesson, not a wound." He nodded and took my hand. And for the first time, I realized what real love felt like, not burning, not breaking, just safe. Years passed again. One day, while sorting old boxes, I found the torn drawing he'd made of me in high school. The same one I once taped together for revenge. It was fragile, faded, but still there. I almost threw it away. But instead, I framed it, not as a memory of him, but as proof of how far I'd come. Every scar, every tear, every betrayal, they all led me here. To strength. To peace. To love that doesn't destroy but heals. And sometimes, When I look at that drawing, I whisper quietly, "Thank you for breaking me, so I could rebuild stronger." Love isn't always a fairy tale. Sometimes it's a battlefield where no one wins, but everyone changes. He was the storm that taught me how to stand on my own. And I was the girl who learned that losing someone isn't the worst thing. Losing yourself is. Now I know who I am. And that's the happiest ending I could ever have.